everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and also hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the fun around here. Today I've got a little bit of a tutorial since I have been getting requested to show people how I draw cartoon faces. So what I've decided today is, for starters, I don't know if y'all remember this one, is the 100 Faces in 10 Days. A lot of my pictures were very cartoony when I did this. So it has that, it reflects my style. So a lot of these are, some of them are more realistic, where some of them are very, very cartoony. And in order to show different types of emotions, I thought I would show you how I go about that when it comes to drawing eyes, nose, mouths, and that sort of thing. But then I thought, but what if your cartoon, such as Floof, doesn't have a nose and a mouth and eyebrows? What do you do then? So I thought I would show you what I do. So in order to start, we have to look at Floof, who is just a bit of a fuzzball, and all he really has is eyes and some antenna, and occasionally he will have a little arm sticking out with 3 fingers. And some people ask me, why just 3 fingers? Well, in cartoons, it's kind of silly to try and put all 5 in when the brain actually just goes, oh, it's a hand. It doesn't matter how many fingers you put on it. As long as it has a thumb, you could get away with 2 fingers, and the brain still goes, oh, it's a hand. So what I'm going to do here is show you some of his expressions using just his eyes and his antenna. So his eyes being just a couple ovals, and his antenna are like this. But let's say he's mad about something. Well, I would put lines like so, and which, I mean, Floof never gets mad about anything, honestly. And those would be his eyes. They would probably be a little closer together. Like that. Oh, get off of there. Or, and if his antenna, which you always have to include the antenna, he would probably be like squigglies instead of like the smooth, like this. So he'd be squiggly. So this would be very angry. Or if he was very kind of blasé, kind of like whatever kind of a thing. Or if he looked, this could be sleepy also. But you see how the eyes are more open here? These are a little more rounded. And then to make him look even sleepier, you'd put like little lines here, kind of like bags under his eyes, and you could even like shade his eyelids in a little darker than his body, which would be, you know, his body would just be a light gray, but his eyelids would probably be slightly darker, kind of give that bloodshot look. Yeah, let's see. Happy kind of has a larger eyeball, or the iris rather, and then his antenna would come up like this. It also is like a kind of a surprise look, but being that he doesn't have eyebrows, because most cartoons, if you draw the eyes, regardless of how you draw them, would have the eyebrows coming out this way for surprised, this way for angry. So it just all depends on eyebrows. But without having eyebrows, I have to depend on his antenna to kind of convey what's going on. As in, like for Dizzy, he had the swirls in his eyes. And then the antennas were like squiggles. And let's see, when he's looking at Floofette, he has a tendency to have kind of like a dreamy look on his face. And I'll make his antennas like a couple, like it looks like a heart. That's how he looks at Floofette. Sometimes it's all in what's going on in the picture, so it's all within the context of the picture. So if his hands are like raised up like this, he could be, you know, saying hi, or he could be like both hands up and he's like really super surprised, like, oh my gosh. But this is basically when you've got not much to work with, because he, again, doesn't have a nose, he doesn't have a mouth. If he had a mouth, you would be able to draw a happy face, you know, where he's something like that. But he doesn't have this mouth. So it's all in the eyes and the antenna. But when you're drawing your own character, regardless of what the face looks like, because you've got a nose and a mouth most of the time with most characters, most cartoon characters have a full facial features. It's a lot easier to convey the different emotions that you want to try to convey. So with Floof, it's a little bit more difficult, but again, I try to make sure that it's the context of the picture. For example, let me see if I can't find. Well, this is when Mort Walker died. You can see how his eyes are very like down, and he's got a little tear. You can see everybody's crying, and you've got the, you know, his little hand is on the tombstone of Mort Walker. That's his sad look. When he's surprised, like seeing this koala bear, it's just all in. See how she's cross-eyed here? It's a lot in how you convey what's going on in the picture as to how they look. Like with her eyes looking kind of more surprised because they're much larger, and she's looking down at Floof, who has passed out from drinking too much beer. Here he's like really scared, so you've got the little sweat beads coming off. His antennae are all squiggly. Here he's happy, where you see his cheeks are come up, which is another way you can draw him. So he's got like the little cheeks, and then his antennas would come out like so. So it's just basically wanting to do is to go through a list of, I've seen them online before, where they have like a long list of different emotions that you can actually draw from. Let's see if I can find it. I think I had one somewhere, and it was quite interesting because you could go off that very easily and just go through the entire list. Where in the heck did I put it? Oh goodness. Well, here's just some more examples. See where he's like, he's smiling at Floofette because he's handing her his umbrella, and he's got water in his one eye, so he's kind of like winking, but not winking at her per se, is because he's got water all over him and he's melting pretty much. But just the, you know, the look of wonder on their eyes when they see the aurora borealis. So it's one of these things where it's not difficult to make sure that your character has that emotion. You can do it with just the eyes and the surrounding context of what's going on in the picture, it's not difficult to do. So you can tell they're scared because see the wiggle, and it's kind of like they're shaking. This is because they were seeing it Transylvania, Corvin Castle in Transylvania, so they were a little scared. But they're in love. I mean, you can see how they're like, their eyes are kind of half squinty. Here's on Valentine's Day. He has a little heart in his eyes, and then there's hearts throughout the picture. So when you want to do something along these lines, and you're drawing a cartoon, just try to keep in mind the context of what you're drawing, so you can convey that in the facial features of your cartoon character. Because you don't want it to where, you know, things are just, you know, he's in motion, everything's there, but the face is always looking the same. You don't want the facial features to always look the same. You want it to convey some type of emotion as to how that character is feeling, so that you can kind of feel like you relate to it and feel like, you know, things are relatable because he's got an emotion. See, here he's sick. I mean, you can tell he's got the bags under his eyes and he's looking kind of peaked. Here he looks like he's kind of goofy. It's all in how you draw the facial features so that the viewer can relate and say, oh, I felt that way before. I know that feeling. And then it makes it relatable. So it's one of those things where, you know, he's happy playing with the dreidel. Here he's been writing out Christmas cards for so long that he's gone cross-eyed and he's really tired. And he's like, done, I am done with this. So this is how I make him relate to people, so that it's, I don't know if you guys saw this one for snow for Inktober this year. That was the remake of this one. But I should have done this one for snow. But yeah, he gets into all types of troubles. But you can tell that he's like having a really good time with this, and he's wiggling, and you can see the movement in it, and how he's kind of like, woo, look at me go. That's how you convey the emotion. Let's see if I can find something else. You have different floofs here, and they all have a different look and style to them, but they all still convey an emotion using their eyes and their antennas. Very studious, extremely happy, scared, and she hasn't even left the driveway. And here's the inside of a floof. There we go. So that is basically how you can bring across your emotions with a cartoon, just drawing just the eyes. I mean, you don't even have to use the antennas. The antennas help. They really do. But the eyes are what convey the most emotion. And that is true. It can be said for any cartoon. All the emotion is in the eyes. So, you know, get out there and try your hand at different emotions, and try and draw your OCs with these different ways of drawing the eyes, and see what happens. You never know what'll happen. And, you know, just practice that and see how that changes the way people look at your cartoons and say, oh, okay, yeah, that relates to me. I get it. That's cute. That's funny. That's sad. That's this. That's that. They will be able to relate much better to your cartoons. So, in saying that, Floof loves y'all bunches. And I hope you all have a great day. I hope you found something interesting in this. So, if you do, let me know in the comments. If you don't, let me know in the comments. I want to know, did you find any of this interesting? Did you learn anything? Did you already know all this? So, until next time, I love you all guys bunches. Bye.